Everyone knows Icarus flew too close to the sun. Nobody asks who built the wings, who knew they would fail, and who watched his son fall. The myth gets taught as a lesson in hubris, the boy who didn't listen, who paid for it. And Daedalus, his background, he's the worried father. He's the one who said, "Don't go too high," and then stood there while his child drowned. But here's what gets me. Daedalus wasn't just a father. He was the most brilliant engineer in the ancient world, a man who could build anything, who had already built several things that destroyed the people around him. And he kept building. Ovid understood that, even if we've managed to miss it for 2,000 years. Before Icarus, there was Perdix. Before Perdix, there was the cow suit. Before the cow suit, there was the Labyrinth. You can trace his whole life through the wreckage. Daedalus left devastation behind him the way some people leave broken friendships, not from cruelty exactly, but from something harder to name. A compulsion to create that he couldn't turn off, even when creation was the problem. Start at the beginning. Before Crete, before any of it, Daedalus was living in Athens. His sister sent her son to apprentice with him, a boy named Perdix, or sometimes Talos, depending on which version you read. Which is kind of interesting in itself. The Greeks weren't sure what to call him. What they agreed on is what happened next. Perdix was good. Extraordinarily good, actually. He was about 12 years old when he picked up a fish spine on a walk. He looked at it, a row of teeth, a natural cutting edge, and invented the saw, just like that, one afternoon. And Daedalus, this genius, this craftsman who had no equal in the ancient world, took the boy to the top of the Acropolis and threw him off. Athena transformed Perdix into a partridge on the way down, which is why partridges build their nests low to the ground and won't fly high. They remember. The myth is very specific about that detail. It wants you to know the bird remembers what Daedalus did. Daedalus was exiled from Athens for the murder. He ended up in Crete, in the court of King Minos. That's where things got considerably worse. Minos had a problem. His wife Pasiphae had developed, through divine punishment, through Poseidon's interference, through the specific and uncomfortable way Greek gods expressed their anger, an infatuation with a bull. A literal bull. A white one that Minos had failed to sacrifice when he was supposed to. Now, you might think this is the kind of problem you just manage. You look the other way, you don't solve it. But Pasiphae went to Daedalus, and Daedalus built her what she asked for. A hollow wooden cow covered in hide, realistic enough to work. He didn't ask questions about the consequences. He saw an engineering problem and engineered a solution. The result was the Minotaur. Half man, half bull, kept alive in a labyrinth because killing it would have been an admission of what happened. And who built the labyrinth? Daedalus, who solved the problem of containing the monster his previous work had created. Daedalus, he built the container for his own mistake, and then Minos imprisoned him and his son Icarus inside the very structure Daedalus had designed. Minos understood that Daedalus knew too much to be let go. He built his own prison apparently, along with everything else. Writes the wing building scene in the Metamorphoses, and I think he understood exactly what he was writing. He describes Daedalus laying out the feathers in order from small to large, then binding them with thread and wax. Icarus is there beside him, laughing, grabbing the floating feathers, pressing his thumb into the soft wax. A boy playing while his father builds the machine that will kill him. Ovid puts it like this: now Daedalus with skillful art arranged the wings in order due, the short, the long, the middle few. He bent them so their gradual curve would counterfeit the country birds. The word is counterfeit. Daedalus is making a copy of something real. He knows the difference between a genuine thing and his version of it. And then he says, don't fly too high, don't fly too low, follow me, stay in the middle. He knows the wings have a failure point. He built the failure point in. Wax melts, he chose wax. He watched the boy run off the cliff, and he knew, he had to have known, that everything came down to whether Icarus listened. Whether a boy stayed cautious at the one moment in his life when he was, for the first time, free. If you're looking for the monster in this myth, you won't find one. I think he just couldn't stop. 1945, after the Trinity test, Robert Oppenheimer watched the first nuclear weapon detonate over the New Mexico desert. He recalled a line from the Bhagavad Gita, "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." It's probably the most famous thing a scientist ever said about the thing they'd made. But here's the parallel nobody talks about. Oppenheimer didn't stop building. He went to Los Alamos. He ran the project. He solved every problem that came up. The implosion design, the critical mass, the delivery system. He was brilliant in the way that makes brilliance feel almost like a disease. The problem of how to build it consumed him, and the thing got built. Daedalus is the oldest version of this story, the neutral inventor. The craftsman who says, "I just made what was asked," and genuinely means it, while the world burns down around his work. He made the cow suit because it was an interesting problem. He made the labyrinth because Minos needed one. He made the wings because there was no other way out of the prison he'd built. The myth isn't warning you about Icarus. It's asking a harder question about Daedalus. Can a creator choose not to create? Or does the compulsion run ahead of consequence every time? The creator always standing on the shore, watching something fall, unable to quite explain how they got there again. His account of Icarus falling is brief. The boy flew too high, the wax softened, the feathers scattered, the wings stopped being wings. He called out his father's name as he fell, and then the sea. Daedalus flew on to Sicily. He built there, of course he built there. King Cocalus took him in, and when Minos eventually tracked him down, Cocalus' daughters protected Daedalus. They poured boiling water through a tube Daedalus had fitted into the ceiling of the bathing room, and Minos drowned. More people died for Daedalus. More of his engineering was the mechanism. You've probably built something that hurts someone you love. Maybe not a machine, maybe a plan, an argument, a silence, a choice you couldn't walk back. And maybe you told yourself it was the only option, or that you warned them, or that you didn't intend it. Daedalus warned Icarus. He absolutely did. He also handed him feathers held together with wax and said good luck. He kept building after. In Sicily, he made bronze giants, clever pipes, a reservoir. The ancient sources list his works the way you'd list a career. No record of him stopping, no record of him choosing not to. Perdix fell. Icarus fell. The projects continued. Somewhere on a beach in the Aegean, he named the sea after his son. The Icarian Sea. That's the only monument he left for Icarus. Daedalus gave it a name and then presumably went back to building.